Life is a Highway turns 30. On that road, there's been a Hall of Fame, the Walk of Fame, and an Order of Canada. Today, we're talking to Canadian music icon Tom Cochrane, and we're going to hear more about his lifelong journey as a humanitarian. Tom, 30 years it's been since Life is a Highway was released. Can you share a little bit more about the meaning of that song, the road we all travel, and kind of what your inspiration was for that?
My first trip to Africa was a real eye-opener. It was very impactful. The trip was disturbing from the point of view, first time in my life I saw, a mother die in a child's arms, for instance, was a extremely powerful experience for me, and just a heartfelt thing that left a pretty good scar on my psyche, and that was in Mozambique, and of course it was war torn at that point. And I was exposed to a lot of things, a certain level of human suffering, but also human resilience. God bless him, Dr. Halipe was there on the ground in a small little area that was ADP, that was isolated and surrounded by trouble.
They reported 35 deaths just that day we came in.
And he was doing incredible work. I realized that just how important it was for international aid and services that World Vision provides to understand the different cultures and the communities. That people aren't just these cutouts. They're not just images that we see back in the West. And I came home and did a lot of soul searching in that. And then I woke up one night, as I had been quite a bit after that trip, about 3 a.m, and I went down to my little studio in my shed, and I had some recording equipment there all set up, and turned it on. Basically was in my house coat, set up the microphone, and I think the first verse and the first chorus came to me all at once. I needed this song that was a positive song that would get me out of this funk. And that's basically the simple idea of Life's a Highway. We can't change the world on our own all at once. With faith, it helps, and it gives us that focus. And with a song like Life's a Highway, I tried to express that idea that you got to keep your eyes on the road ahead of you and spread goodwill and good deeds along that road, and then it spreads out from there like the ripples in a pond. But if you get distracted and you're looking all over the place, you crash. It was kind of a pep song to myself. Sometimes that's what you do, and that's what definitely Life's a Highway did. It was therapeutic for me, and then I think therapeutic for a lot of people.
Tom, Canadians recognize you, millions of albums sold, the songs that you've written, the Order of Canada, you've got an induction into the Music Hall of Fame, you're on the Walk of Fame. But that starting point, that trip, that song was kind of the beginning of a lifelong journey for you as a humanitarian. What's been that highway like for you as you've been involved in causes, including causes related to World Vision?
World Vision has given me, I look at it as an opportunity. It's been more what that has done for me than anything else, because it's fueled my batteries, in a lot of ways. Even though there are those tough times, that particular first trip, and then some of the things you saw in Rwanda, and how important it was for World Vision to be present there. The HIV initiative, some of those stories were heartbreaking. But I look at it as these things choose us, and you choose to kind of ignore them, or else recognize them and recognize the opportunities that are presented. And so in that, I think World Vision gave me an opportunity, and continued, like Life's a Highway, to give me that opportunity to kind of do a little bit here and a little bit there, and be extremely humbling in the process, because I realized that we were kind of voyeurs. We're going in and helping bring a little bit of attention to it, but the people that were really doing the hard work were always back there. I remember a nurse by the name of Dorothy, and she wouldn't leave Somalia. We were in Badoa, and it was tough. Dorothy was in a World Vision tent.
Well, this is Noria and this is Habiba, and they're two children that just arrived in our center yesterday.
It was frightening. They started firing off anti-aircraft guns, and she wouldn't leave. Dr. Felipe was the same way in Mozambique. He stood his ground and said, "No, I'm staying." And that kind of dedication and faith and the things that motivate those people and the courage was something I took out of there, and it's always stayed with me.
Are there any meaningful encounters that you've had with kids that you remember specifically?
These experiences always leave such an impact on you. Of course, the girl that was holding her mom up, and she just touched my heart so much. There was a little kid that hung on to my leg in that tent in Somalia as well. And she was just, they look up at you, and she looked up at me, and I could see my girls in her face. It was like your kids when they're hurt, and you just want to reach out and help them. They've hurt themselves or they're in a lot of pain, and I could see my kids' eyes in them, and that to me is one of the, I don't know, I guess psychologists would call it transference. I call it the family of man. We're not all that different.
It's been understandable that Canadians have wanted to look inward to address challenges right here at home, but we know that there are impacts around the world as well. What would your message be to Canadians? You're an ambassador of generosity and kindness, in my view. You've seen this work. What's your message to Canadians about why we should continue to care?
The pandemic is an isolating thing. That we're still part of one big family too. In this big old world of ours. It goes back to the whole idea that you have to look outward sometimes, as opposed to being too focused on your own problems. And I'd be untruthful if I didn't say, I've been part of the same thing. To look outside is always good. Again, keeping that eye on the road that's ahead of you. I remember being involved in We Are the World after during the Ethiopian crisis, and the single we put out as Collective Artists in Canada, and thinking that we can't just look at them as these images, these cuts, and I think that impact of World Vision has been very profound that way in making people connect. It was so good right from the beginning to see that kind of dedication and that kind of initiative with World Vision. People have to have their integrity. They have to have their pride. I'm always impressed with how World Vision is respectful of that. Keeping your eye on the road ahead of you on the individual, as much as there are millions and millions of individuals out there.
Tom, thanks so much for being with us today. Thanks for using your art, your music, your platform to encourage Canadians to be generous and, support humanitarian work. It's been great to talk with you.
It's been great talking with you, Mike, and keep up the great work. I know through these tough times it's been hard, but things are getting better, and really appreciate the opportunity to help that you have given me and World Vision has given me over the years.
You might feel you're a stranger, lost in a strange land. You might be on a distant shore, don't know what they have in mind. Ooh, no, you're not so far. You're not so far away. Boy, Tom.